back it up some. Yeah. Alright, this shit loud as hell. Try to get the speaker higher. That's all. I forgot how loud the motor was. It never is. It's not like City Market.
There's like a contained space?
No, it's that, you know, it's 60% of the people that's coming here are not coming here for the food truck. They're coming here for the park, you know, to walk through the park. And then they got the truck spread out, spread parking lot. So it's more like we got a food truck and less like, you know, we destroying the food truck. We got the Yeah, I think pretty sure that's how we did it last time too. You know, it was max volume. I had to talk really loud. The first time I was really loud. All right, mic check, mic check. Probably won't have to. Alright, I'm gonna get this audio right. Damn. Okay. That motor loud. I'm at the. Anybody watching, tell me how the audio sound. If you're watching this from Facebook, tell me how the audio sound. I'll probably. All right. That's the loudest that the mic go? Do me a favor. Let's see. Wanna see how far you can hear from? All right, let me see. Okay, stand by. All right, let me see how loud I gotta be for you to hear me as well. I guess what I should have said. This is not what I'm really gonna say, but in order to try to do a test run, I'm just gonna say the same thing from last year, so that way I can, okay. Where's the justice? Can you hear it? Where's the justice for the victims of May 30th? Where's the justice for the victims of the May 30th police brutality attack at District 1? All right, can you hear that? Can you hear that? Your voice is clear. Okay. All right, so voice is clear on this mic, and then I gotta be about like right like this for this mic right here to work. All right. Okay, so we are down at Food Truck Tuesday. We down here at Food Truck Tuesday. This is the very first one in Rockford, Illinois. Right now, I'm gonna compete with this motor that's over here for volume. So let me know if I'm too loud in this mic right here. We'll do something to try to turn it down. I hope anybody that's viewing can see behind me the posters that we have of Denzel Duvant, who was beat and assaulted and brutalized at the hands of the Rockford Police Department. I think we got him on either side of me. I'm covering up one of them. There we go. All right, I'm covering up one of them. And so this is the same way that we went out to City Market regularly last year. Every week that they had City Market and people went out to City Market to eat from the food trucks, or people went out to City Market to have a beer, or people went out to City Market to hang out with friends. We made sure that we were at City Market to remind the people that were trying to get some type of break from reality about the things that were going on to the people inside this city surrounding police terrorism and surrounding mass incarceration. And so our plan is to do the same thing this year. As long as people are going to come out here to Mississippi, to Anderson Gardens, to walk on the track or to jog on the track and get some fitness in during the spring and the summer, as long as people are going to come down here to partake in the different food trucks and the different food vendors that's down here, we going to make sure to be down here and to remind them of Denzel Duvant being assaulted and being brutalized and being terrorized and traumatized by the Rockford Police Department on January 5th of 2021. We're going to be sure to remind them about Faustin Guay-Tigo, who was murdered by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies in April 10th, 2021. We're going to make sure to remind them about Jose Gonzalez Jr., who was shot by the Rockford Police Department on April 11th, 2021, as he was running away. We're going to make sure to come out here and remind people of Tyrus Jones, who was shot by the Rockford Police Department while he was running away, October 3rd, 2020. And so if people want to come out and have and enjoy the springtime, we're going to make sure that they come out and hear about these black and brown people who have been brutalized and victimized at the hands of these white supremacist police officers who terrorize communities of colors, that terrorize low-income and poor communities. And so anything that people are partaking in this city, we will find a way to have people mobilized there. We will find a way to be organized there. And throughout the spring and the summer of 2021, people in this city will be reminded of the brutal acts that the law enforcement in this area has engaged in when it comes to specific communities. Okay, I got something to drink too. I'm gonna need to go through waters. I forgot how thirsty I get doing this. If you at home and you don't got nothing to do, go ahead and come down here to is this technically Nicholas Conservatory? Come down to Nicholas Conservatory, where they're hosting the Food Truck Tuesdays at. You can come down with bring a lawn chair. You can come down, bring a friend. We got pamphlets out here. We got business cards that's out here, and we want everybody to come out. We got the signs of this young man, Denzel Duvant. It's multiple people within the May 30th Alliance organization that's here. And so, what's up, brother? What's up? Love. You already know. I bet. I'ma holler at you. And so again, we wanted people to understand that until these issues are truly faced, until these issues are truly solved, until people no longer just pick and choose when they care about these victims, until the city of Rockford and the Winnebago County starts holding their officers and their law enforcement accountable for their actions, until they start trying to restore the damage that they have done to communities, the damage that they have done to families. At every gathering and every outing that takes place in Rockford and in Winnebago County, we will be there. And we will continue to occupy at City Hall. And when May 21st, the first Friday of City Market comes up, we will be at City Market. And so for anybody that may not know, again, right now it's a few people behind us. It's a few people to the side. I know that we got a few viewers here, so I'm going to try to make sure I'm speaking into both mics. Going to try to make sure I'm also bringing awareness to the people who may be behind me, so I'm going to hold this sign up and rotate this around. This is Denzel Duvant. This young man was beat while he was handcuffed by the Rockford Police Department. The Rockford Police Department on January 5th beat this man while he was handcuffed. He was unarmed. He had no weapon. He did not attack the officers. Only thing he did was be black in a community in which being black is a crime punishable by death. And so they beat him halfway to death. It's people who look like this who didn't survive. This is somebody who I won't disclose. Somebody I spoke to told me that this picture reminded them of a loved one that they knew who had died. They had died a violent death. And so that's what this picture reminded somebody of. That is what this young man has to be reminded of on a daily basis, traumatized on a daily basis, and has to know that the officers who are responsible for this are continuing to pull over people. That he could get pulled over tomorrow by the same officers who did this, and that the institution that they work for has said that it is okay, it is justifiable for them to bring somebody in looking like this. So again, I'm gonna try to show it around. So again, we just want people. This is one of the first events that's taking place during the spring, outside in the nice weather. COVID restrictions is loosening up. America is open for summer 2021 and for the spring of 2021, and so Rockford is open as well for the spring of 2021 and the summer of 2021. And so the May 30th Alliance is going to be active and in the streets throughout the springs and the summer of 2021, beginning with this Food Truck Tuesday. So again, come down here. We got, let me see, we got all right, we got pamphlets. You can come down here. We got multiple pamphlets that we passing out to people. Again, we want to bring awareness to the terroristic actions of the Rockford Police Department, the terroristic actions of the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, the terroristic actions of the correctional officers inside of the Winnebago County Jail. And so, as long as our job is to make sure that can't nobody pass through this area without seeing pictures of Denzel Duvant, can't nobody pass through this area without hearing us speak about the crooked, racist, bloodthirsty Rockford Police Department, the crooked, racist, bloodthirsty Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, the corrupt, racist, bloodthirsty institution that is the jailing system in Rockford. And so everybody that come out here to play Pokemon Go, or everybody who come out here to get a jog, everybody who come out here to get tacos or to get churros, gonna hear about these white nationalist, white supremacist police officers, hear about these Uncle Tom black police officers that's actively in cahoots and in coordination with white supremacists that's wearing badges and using illegal means to oppress specific communities, to oppress specific individuals inside of societies. And so we want anybody that's in the area, come down. We got pamphlets, we got business cards. And again, excuse me, it's been a minute since I since we did the Food Truck Tuesday. So excuse me if I have a couple of uhs and a couple of stutters. We gon' work through it. Excuse me if we have any audio issues too. We gonna figure out a way to make sure we can broadcast on the live, and I'm still can focus on speaking to the area. You know, so we gonna figure that balance out. Anybody that's watching this, share the video. We gonna keep this live going. Okay, so I want to pick up where we left off on the last time we participated in the Food Truck Tuesday. Since the last Food Truck Tuesday we were at, October 3rd has passed, and race soldier Dominic McNeese, employed by the Rockford Police Department, has shot a young black man as he has been running away. Not only did he shoot this young black man while he was running away and unarmed, Tyrus Jones, he shot at him multiple times in broad day in the middle of traffic, putting the lives at risk of all the people in the area, which has been a constant theme with the police officers inside of America, a reckless endangerment for all civilians in the vicinity once they decide that somebody needs to be taken down, or once they decide that somebody is a threat. And usually the people who they decide are threats, it is not based on the actions that they have taken. It is not based on the type of weapons that they have. It is based on their appearance. It is based on their skin color. It is based on the communities in which the crimes may have taken place. And so Tyrus Jones was shot by Officer Dominic McNeese while he was running away a multitude of times. There's no way for us at this moment to even know the amount of times he was truly shot. There has been multiple accounts. There is a dash camera video that has not been released of this attempted lynching of a black man in the streets by a Rockford police officer. But instead of releasing that video footage, the crooked Winnebago County deputies, the crooked Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force has chosen to hold on and to try to prolong the process of releasing this video footage to the public. Meanwhile, the officer who shot Tyrus Jones while he was running away, the officer who shot this unarmed man while he was running away on October 3rd, 2020, he was justified in his actions before Thanksgiving even rolled around. He shot him on October 3rd, and before Thanksgiving dinner was served on Thursday, he was justified in his actions of shooting this man while he was running away. And then not even 2 months later, he returns back to work in the first week of December. Not even a full 5 weeks or a full 2 months later, he was involved in this man being beat like this. The same officer who shot Tyrus Jones, who shot an unarmed man as he was running away multiple times in the back, once he was justified in the shooting and was sent back to work, this was what he did. Within 2 months, this was the next action that he was a part of taking. Beating this young man half to death. Again, another unarmed man. He was unarmed. He was beat like this while he was handcuffed. So that brings us to January 5th. And so now we've went through October, where Rockford police officers attempted to murder a man while he was running away. We went through that. And then now October finishes up. November goes around, December goes around, and then January 5th, 3 months later, that's 3 months, like 3 months later, it's like 4 months later, he participates in this happening. And so now we have October, unarmed man shot. We have January, an unarmed man jumped and beat half to death. And then February goes around, March goes around, April comes around, and then April 10th, Faustin Guaitigo, in a video that is all over the internet. If you're on the May 30th Alliance Facebook page, it's pinned to our page. If you're on the May 30th Alliance Twitter page, it's pinned to the Twitter page. There's a video of Faustin Guaitigo being murdered inside of his home. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Faustin Guaitigo being murdered inside of his home by Winnebago County Sheriff deputies. Murdered inside of his home. They took advantage of the fact that this is a man who was an immigrant from Africa. Him and his wife, English was their second language, so they didn't know the full rights in which they had. And when the police officers, instead of trying to to mediate the situation. Faustin Guaitigo went into his home instead of he was not arrested. He went into his home, closed the doors into his home instead of the officers trying to reason with this man inside of his home, instead of them being patient, instead of them caring for his life or having empathy for the situation in which he was in. Instead, like some type of a SWAT team or the Avengers, they rushed into this man's home. One officer having a taser, another officer leading with his gun, and inside of his home, they shot this man to death. The last time that he was shot, he was laying on the ground when the last bullet entered into him, and the man was standing over him. And the narrative that they tried to paint is that this had to happen because Faustin Guaitigo had a pole, and the pole was such a dangerous weapon that the officers' lives were endangered. Never stating that one officer that went in was comfortable enough to go into the house with his taser, while another one chose to go in with his gun. So it was clear that the level of danger was not the same, or was not balanced for both of these officers. Had both of those officers went in with tasers and the same situation took place, Faustin Guaitigo would be alive right now, and he would not have been shot numerous times inside of his own home. And again, the last shot that went into Faustin Guaitigo went into him as he laid on the ground. And then after that, not only was he tased in the process of this happening, but after being shot multiple times, after having what is almost amounts to an execution bullet put through him, then police officers tried to arrest him. They handcuff him and tell him to stop resisting arrest after shooting the man 8 times, or about 8 times. As you know, don't know the exact amount of times that the young man was shot. And so that was April 10th, Faustin Guaitigo. And then that brings us to April 11th, Jose Gonzalez, who was shot by the Rockford Police Department as he was running away. Again, another situation where a young man is running away, is not presenting himself as a threat to the officers involved, is not going towards the officers. So for the people who will hear about Faustin Guaitigo and who will justify the lynching inside of his home of Faustin Guaitigo by saying he was coming forward towards the officer, what do those people say about Jose Gonzalez, who was running away from the police officers when he was shot in his leg? Shot in his leg, running away. A 19-year-old. And so that's 4 different incidents since the last time we participated in the Food Truck Tuesday, police terrorism that has taken place in Rockford, Illinois, and in Winnebago County. So it is no way possible that we would do less this spring and less this summer, to bring awareness than we did last spring and last summer, when the incidents of police terrorism have quadrupled since then, when there have been multiple people shot since then. And again, people who have been protesting and organizing, trying to bring attention to these things, they have been falsely arrested and assaulted multiple times over since the last time we were here at Food Truck Tuesday. Multiple times over. And so again, these are not isolated incidents. These are not things that are happening in Mississippi, or things that are happening in California, or things that took place in 2010 or 2005, or things that took place in the 90s. Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot on April 11th, 2021 while he was running away. The officer who shot him, Owen McGinnis, participated in the assault and the battery of protesters on May 30th, 2020, and was justified in those actions. The officer who shot him, Owen McGinnis, who also participated in May 30th, he has a lawsuit from which he was involved in beating a criminal suspect and breaking his ribs, a man who later had no charges pressed against him. So this man is a repeat offender, a three-peat offender. And now we sit in a place where the Winnebago County State's Attorney is supposedly reviewing, the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force is supposedly reviewing these acts of police terrorism, but it should be known that the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force has never found any actions taken by a police officer in Rockford, Illinois to be unjustifiable. And they have been in the creation for 10 years, 11 years now. And that means in 11 years, in all of their investigations, they have never found that a police officer has done nothing wrong. People have been shot multiple times while running away. People have been shot multiple times while being unarmed. And every time the police officers who are investigating other police officers say it's okay for police officers to do whatever the hell they want at any whim that they have. And so this is Jose Gonzalez Jr., a 19-year-old shot while running away. This is Faustin Guaitigo, a 27-year-old, murdered inside of his own home. Last time, shot multiple times, and the last time he was shot, an officer was standing on top of it, standing over his body. This is Denzel Duvant. This man was beat on January 5th, 2021 in Rockford, Illinois, while handcuffed. The officers who were involved in this, no actions have been taken against them. They have not been reprimanded. They didn't get docked any money. They didn't get sent on vacation. They didn't get sent to go talk to a psychiatrist to make sure that they were mentally stable. No, they got told that they did the right thing, probably got some type of a pay increase or a bonus, or maybe they got a plaque, and then they got sent back onto the streets to pull over more black and brown people. To pull over more people in neighborhoods in which, because of the community that they live in, they fit there's no voice. There's no collective voice for the community. This is Denzel Duvant. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure you go ahead and share this. Right. All right, I don't want to. Let me make sure I'm not just repeating the same thing over and over again. So this is the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. This is the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force pamphlet. Inside of this pamphlet, there's a documented history of the last 10 years worth of police murders, Rockford Police Department murders, and in custody deaths that have taken place. And there's detailed descriptions about how each one of these people were murdered, their lives were taken away, and then there's also information about the investigations into them being justified. So what I want to do is, I'm not going to read this entire thing, but I do want to go through the table of contents and let you hear the dates of all of these incidents taking place. So that way you don't think that we just up here for something that done happened once or twice or something that's not a issue. Okay, Mark Barmore was murdered on August 24th, 2009 by the Rockford Police Department. The officers who were involved in murdering him were found justified and sent back to work. Michael Sago Jr. was murdered October 1st, 2011 by an off-duty Winnebago County Sheriff deputy. He was found justified and was sent to go back to work. Philip Johnson was murdered on January 28th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. The officer who murdered him was found justified and was sent to go back to work. Logan Bell was murdered on October 11th, 2012. The officers that were involved in murdering him were found justified and sent to go back to work. Demetrius Bennett was murdered on November 1st, 2012. The officers that were involved in murdering him were found justified and sent to go back to work. Eddie Patterson was murdered November 5th, 2017. And the case of Eddie Patterson is one that is more known in the city. Eddie Patterson it was found that Jamie Cox was justified in the murder of Eddie Patterson, and if Eddie Patterson would have lived from being shot, then he would have been held up on charges of murder for Jamie Cox. So Eddie Patterson's murder was found justified. Kerry Blake murdered December 30th, 2018 by the Rockford Police Department. The officer that murdered him was found justified and sent to go back to work. Eugene Washington died inside of the Winnebago County Jail. His family never got any true answers about how he died inside of the jail. They never had the ability to do a second autopsy because the actions taken by the institution of the Winnebago County Jail. And when that case was looked into, everything was found to be justified, and all the correctional officers who were there as this man died, all the people who were there supervisors as this man died, were found justified and sent to keep on running the jail. And then December 1st, 2019, a month later, not surprisingly, someone else died inside of the jail, Joseph McCormick, and he was, again, same thing. His family said that the last time they spoke to him, he did not sound suicidal. They did not believe him to be suicidal. The Winnebago County Jail said that he committed suicide. His family completely disagreed with it. They were given no answers, no true transparency. And when that was investigated and looked into, all the correctional officers who were there and allowed this man, whether they participated in this man being murdered, whether they were just the people who were on duty as a suicide took place, some type of responsibility has to be laid upon somebody. If somebody was to kill themselves inside of your house under mysterious circumstances, and everybody in their family and around them was saying that they don't believe this person to be suicidal, I highly doubt that there would not be at least some type of charge of negligence brought up on a regular civilian. But nonetheless, these correctional officers and all the supervisors sent back to work. And then and then Mikey Guzman on August 23rd, 2020 in South Beloit, which South Beloit is not Rockford. However, South Beloit is in Winnebago County. The Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force, which investigated all of these, was the same institution which investigated Mikey Guzman. And the state's attorney, who was responsible for not bringing up charges for the rest of these people, was also responsible for not bringing up charges on the officer who ran down Mikey Guzman. He ran him down and murdered him in the street. Mikey Guzman was not suspected of committing any crime. Mikey Guzman was not wanted. Mikey Guzman was a pedestrian who happened to be hit by a police officer. If he would have been hit by another civilian, the civilian would have stood charges. Multiple times, and specifically to point out Rockford, people have been involved in car accidents, and then when somebody's life has been lost, they have been charged with some type of crime for it. But since this was a police officer who ran down Mikey Guzman, it was found to be justified, and that man went back to work to drive around in his police cruiser and endanger pedestrians all over again. And then October 2nd, 2020, Tyrus Jones, which we began speaking about, was shot while running away, while being unarmed, after George Floyd, after protests, after the mayor called all the black people in his phone number and had a press conference, after these listening sessions, after all of these things happened, an unarmed black man was shot down in the streets, and the mayor of this city didn't even have the decency to have a press conference. Instead, he elected to put out a Facebook statement, in which said statement he did not even say the name of the man who was shot in the first place. And so when you are trying to have a nice food truck Tuesday at Mississippi, or when you want to go to City Market on Friday and enjoy City Market, or when you want to enjoy the 4th of July parade that they gonna have, or when you want to enjoy any of these other festivities that happen to start becoming disrupted, make sure that you don't think that this is happening out of some type of unwarranted emotion, or make sure you don't think these things is happening out of some type of irrationality. Make sure you don't think these things are happening because people don't know how to process or deal with or go through the process. These things are happening because the process is corrupt. These things are happening because the institutions which profit and benefit off of these events, such as Food Truck Tuesday and City Market Fridays and the 4th of July parades, because those institutions are complicit in all of these things happening. Complicit in these things happening. If it was the same type of energy and effort put into trying to fix the true racial injustices that are pervasive in this city, as it's put into having some events in gentrified areas to feed people, we will be making true steps forward. However, there has been more effort put in to people enjoying Food Truck Tuesday or City Market Friday than it has been put into making sure no more people getting killed in this city streets. How it sound?
I got you online in the car. It sounds good.
So again, we just want people to understand why these things are happening. Well, a lot of people ask about objectives or ask about end goals. And so this is what I want people to understand. We are so far removed from whatever the finish line is. We are so far removed from whatever the end goal is that it would be no way for us to imagine what the end goal looks like. It'll be no way for us to truly imagine what the end objective looks like, because the entirety of this nation as we know it, the entirety of this society as we know it, the entirety of this city, this county as we know it, is so steeped and so rooted in these issues that before we can even understand what it, or even fathom what an end goal may be, or what a different version or unracist version of Rockford may look like, we have to dig out those roots. And unfortunately, in Rockford, there are not enough people who are either aware how deep the roots are, or who are genuinely concerned enough to take the time to dig deep enough to uproot these trees. And so we have to make it, as everybody wants to walk around the tree, and everybody wants to, when it's beneficial to them, or when it's for Instagram post, or for some type of social media post, they want to pretend as if they want the tree uprooted. We have to make it so that these people are reminded daily, and these people are reminded regularly about this tree, and about how deep the roots of this tree goes. And so, again, this is Denzel Duvant, beat by the Rockford Police Department. Beat by the Rockford Police Department while unarmed, while handcuffed by the Rockford Police Department, by the Ku Klux cops in Rockford. This did not happen in Minneapolis. This did not happen in Seattle, or in Portland, or in Birmingham. This happened in Rockford, Illinois, on the west side, where these things have been happening at for decades. And because it does not affect certain communities, because it does not affect certain individuals, these issues have gone unaddressed. These issues have gone unnoticed. And so now we are in a position and in a place where they can no longer go unnoticed. When you pass by City Hall in Rockford, Illinois, you have to be confronted by the issues. When you go into City Hall to pay your water bill, you have to be confronted by the issues. When you want to go to City Market this Friday and have a beer with your racist friend, you're going to be confronted by the issues. When you want to come to Food Truck Tuesday, or you want to walk around on Mississippi and lose a couple of pounds, you're going to be confronted by the issues. When the 4th of July come around and people want to celebrate racists like Thomas Jefferson and the racist forefathers that they built monuments for, we're going to be reminding you of the issues that those racist white supremacists left here for us to deal with. So you look at this, you get used to this sign. You get used to this sign. You're going to see this sign more often than you see signs for Pixar movies. You're going to see this sign more often than you see the poster for superhero movies. This is going to be the poster for the trailer for the movie of this summer. You get used to seeing this picture. You get used to seeing these pictures. You get used to seeing these signs. You get used to seeing these names. You get used to seeing these faces. It ain't gonna be nowhere you can go as the spring and summer of this city unravels in Rockford, Illinois, and in Winnebago County, where you're not gonna be seeing these names, seeing these faces, hearing these names, hearing these stories. Jose Gonzalez Jr. shot April 11th, 2021 while running away. While running away. These police officers are not heroes. Do not let them fool you with these pictures and these cookouts that they gonna do. You having your kids pose with the people that in 2-3 years, when they 4, 5, 6 inches taller, gonna be shooting them in the back. This is Faustin Guaitigo. You get used to seeing this name. You get used to seeing this sign. You get used to hearing that name. You get used to seeing this sign. Faustin Guaitigo, murdered in his home by the racist, crooked Winnebago County Sheriff deputies. And these institutions, whether it be the Rockford Police Department, whether it be the Loves Park Police Department, the Belvedere Police Department, the Winnebago County Sheriffs, the Boone County Sheriffs, the Illinois State Police, these institutions are in cahoots with each other. They conspire with each other. One hand washes the other. And so the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies murdered Faustin Guaitigo, but the blood is on the Rockford Police Department's hands as well. The blood is on the mayor of Rockford's hands as well, because when he had the opportunity to try to shift shift the culture, to try to shift the type of thought pattern that is going on in the society, when he had the chance to be a true leader, when he had the chance to be a thermostat and change the temperature of the room instead of just being a thermometer and taking the temperature of the room, he chose the latter. He chose to be a thermometer. He chose to have no moral integrity. He chose to be a moral coward and be quiet as these as protesters were brutalized all through the spring and summer. He chose to be quiet like a moral coward as women were assaulted by male police officers all through the spring and summer. So it is not a surprise that after the mayor was a coward, that these police officers smelled blood in the water and started shooting people left and right, and started beating people left and right. It's good we don't got city market on Friday. I don't know if I'm gonna have a voice. I gotta figure out how to balance this. I know.
It takes a while to get in.
I'm happy we're not doing the courthouse. I can't do it. And then going to City Hall, that'll be nuts. All right, make sure you sharing this video. Make sure you sharing this video. You still, how the audio? The audio good? The audio still good? Okay, so I'll tone it down a little bit. All right, so again, we are out here at Food Truck Tuesday, Rockford, Illinois, the May 30th Alliance. We are out here to bring awareness to the police terrorism, the mass incarceration, and the racial injustice issues that have continued to be pervasive in the city of Rockford and in Winnebago County, in Illinois as a state, in the Midwest as a region, in America, and also in America as a nation. And you can even extrapolate these things out globally, and you can see how in global areas. Hold on 1 second. Let me make sure. I gotta hold a sign. I gotta make sure I hold a sign. People come around here filming. Make sure you get this on the camera. Make sure you get this on the camera. Again, in Rockford, Illinois, these issues have continued to take place. So in Rockford, Illinois, is where we're going to continue to bring up these issues. In all the places where it's going to be people at in the spring and the summer in Rockford, Illinois, we're going to be out with signs, we're going to be out with speakers, we're going to be out with megaphones, we're going to be out with people, and we're going to put boots to the streets, and we're going to make sure that you cannot move in the city of Rockford without seeing the racist acts of the bloodthirsty police department. Without seeing the inhumane, without seeing the cruel acts of the Rockford Police Department. So the same way that you go out and you watch these movies or these TV shows where they make these police officers look like these heroes and show these police officers doing no wrong, we want to make sure that you see in real life what these police officers is doing. This man was beat while he was handcuffed. This man was beat handcuffed by the Rockford Police Department inside of Rockford, January 5th, 2021. So again, we went through last spring and summer where people put Black Lives Matter signs in front of their yard, where people wore Black Lives Matter t-shirts, where people made their Instagram profile Black for a Day and used hashtags. But here we stand a year later, a year removed, and those same people just going out getting tacos now. Those same people going out getting churros, walking around in the park now. Meanwhile, this is what's happening. So that lets you know that not only were those things charades, and were those things actions that were taking place not because people cared about the issues affecting black people, but because they was trying to find a way for black people to be quiet, because they was trying to find a way for black people to shut up, because your friend and your neighbor, your white friend and your white neighbor and your white coworker, they turn their profile picture black for a day, but they not gonna make, but every time that young black men get beat up in the city, they not gonna have no conversation about it. When your brother or your sister gets shot down by a police officer, they gonna be in the comments justifying it. And that's a fact. Go into the comments of WREX when these stories come up. Go into the comments of WIFR when these stories come up. I promise you gonna see your coworkers. I promise you gonna see your coworkers. I promise you gonna see your neighbors. I promise you gonna see your girlfriend, family. I promise you that, because I've been in the comments, because I seen. And so don't tell me that this not a racist country. Don't tell me this not a racist state or a racist city. I got the proof. I got the proof right here. It's in this man's face. And all the racist, bloodthirsty police officers that partook in this happening, they went back to work. Went back to work. That's a common thing. Went back to work. Went back to work. Here in Rockford, Illinois, that's what happened. In other cities and in other states, you can see as precedents are being set, as police officers are beginning to be held smallly accountable. Now, there have not been giant steps, but in pockets and areas, there have been small alterations in the thought pattern. However, here in Rockford, Illinois, a young man was just shot in the back in October, and they won't even release the video footage to the community. Won't even release the video footage to the community. Here, January 5th, 2021, this young man was beat half to death by the Rockford Police Department, and it wasn't even an internal investigation. It wasn't even a reprimand. The officers who did this didn't even have somebody do as much as give them a verbal warning or say, don't do it again. And you can see in this picture, this man is still, his face is still bloody. They didn't even take the time to clean this man's face. He bleeding in the mugshot picture. So these is heroes. And again, we have to get to a place where there's no longer business. Not we have to get to a place. Some of y'all or some of these other people who may be walking around here may have to get to the place. But us as an organization, we have gotten to the place where there's no more business as usual in the streets, no more business as usual in parks, no more business as usual at events, no more business as usual at parades, no more business as usual in the streets until they start addressing these issues that's traumatizing and victimizing young black and brown boys and girls in these cities. And so you want to have a peaceful, quiet food truck Tuesday, then they need to do something about this young man being beat half to death. This is what you need to look at as you eat. As people walk around the park, this is what they need to see. This is what they need to see. A picture speak 1,000 words. Here go 1,000 words for you. This is what they need to see. This is what the police department do. Because I'm sure that some of the people walking up and down here got back the blue flags. Some of the people walking up and down here got brothers and sisters in the police department. And so you go and you ask them why they doing this. Ask them what happened about this. I promise you, if me or you left somebody looking like this, we gonna have some issues. If right now, me and two people go and restrain somebody and beat them half to death like this, something gonna happen from it. But when a police officer do it, nothing happened. Nothing happened. And so what kind of message do that send to civilians? Huh? If you leave your oldest kid in charge of the house and your oldest kid leaving all the damn rooms dirty, your oldest kid having a party, you expect the young kids to be good and to clean up after them? No. When the police department go around beating the hell out of people, it makes civilians feel well within their rights to beat the hell out of people. When children see the people who's supposed to uphold the law break the law on a regular basis and get promoted for it, that puts into their mind and that puts into the society that the law is okay to be broken. Okay to be broken. They beat this man to death while handcuffed. The last picture of somebody who was beat like this, it was not, trust me, was not to the same extent, but it was a white individual, and the officer who engaged in it, again, not the same extent, but the officer was suspended, even though they back to work now. The charges that was put against the person was dropped, and it was charges put against the officers, even though they dropped now. But none of those happened when this happened. And you know the difference? The color of his skin. The color of his skin. I had a politician, a white woman politician, tell me when the white individual was beat by the Rockford Police Department, don't worry, they gonna take care of this. Republicans mad about it. Verbatim, that's what it was, exactly what was told to me. And sure enough, on Monday, it was taken care of. They was released. The officer got suspended, and just like she said, people was mad about it because it was somebody who was white that got beat up like that. However, the anger only lasts for so long. The officer went back. So then he's justified. He think if I can beat a white person like this and get away with it, I know I can do this to him. Denzel Duvant. So again, It will be, as long as the spring and the summer go on, as long as it's events, you will see this picture. And it ain't gonna always be me with the picture, it's gonna be somebody else. It ain't gonna always be here. You gonna start having dreams about this picture. This picture gonna pop up in your dreams. You gonna think I put a spell on you. Everywhere you go, these signs is gonna be. If you got a printer somewhere at home and you wanna know what you can contribute, print out some of these pictures, just start putting them all over the neighborhood. Let them see the work of the Rockford Police Department. Just like they put Crime Stopper posts all over which is propaganda. Just like they put their police department watching everywhere, which is propaganda. You put this up and you let people see what these police officers engage in. And you let people see the mayor of the city don't even got the integrity to say that this is wrong. Don't even got the integrity to say the name of the person that this happened to. Don't even got the integrity to stand up in front of cameras and answer questions from reporters. Instead, he sit up inside of City Hall behind the desk and send out Facebook posts after his officers beat people and shoot people and murder people. This is my fault. This is Jose Gonzalez Jr. Shot April 11th. Not April 11th, 2020. Not April 11th, 2010. Not April 11th, 2000 or 1990. April 11th, 2021. Shot while running away. A 19-year-old. A 19-year-old. And again, the reason these issues are pervasive is because the people who have been elected, the people who are supposed to represent these constituents, they don't speak when this happens. Because of the fear they have of police officers, because of being in cahoots and in coordination and conspiring with these police officers. They allow these things to happen. They allow for this young man to be shot. And so what kind of message do you send to this young man when he know that he was running away in fear and that he was shot and it's going to be justified? And I hate to be the one to get up here and say it, but I ain't come up here to say things people want to hear. I'm going to tell you like it is. They going to justify it. Because they done justified a whole pamphlet worth of other people. And this only go back to 2010. And so the same thing, you got a printer, you want to know what you can contribute, you got a printer at home, go print out some pictures of Jose Gonzalez and make some signs that say justice for Jose. Just like people sticking Black Lives Matter signs in front of their yard. How about you stick the signs of the people that's being shot, that's being murdered? Huh? Don't put the words Black Lives Matter in your yard. Don't put the word Black Lives Matter in your yard. Show people why that statement exists. Show people. This why. Because this man's life did not matter. This man's life did not matter. Because this young man's life did not matter. This is a young Mexican man. His life did not matter because skin tone has put a value on life in this nation. Because at the beginning and the inception of this nation, that's how life was valued, by skin tone, not by character. Not by your deeds, not by your actions. It was measured by your skin tone. And so people who look like this, their lives was found to be not valuable. People who look like this, lives were found to be not valuable. Faustin Guaitigo, April 10th, 2021. Not 2020, not 2010, not 2005. This after George Floyd, a week before Derek Chauvin got convicted, right here, Winnebago County, shot in his home. Last bullet that went inside of him, he was on the ground bleeding to death. And then they handcuffed him. All white officers. Then they handcuffed him. Told him stop resisting. After they shot him like he was Lonzo in Training Day, they told him stop resisting while they handcuffed him. The man wasn't resisting, he was dying. But that's your law enforcement. Those your heroes. Denzel Duvant. Denzel Duvant, work of the Rockford Police Department. This the work of the Rockford Police Department. This their handiwork. You got an uncle that's a cop. You got a brother that's a cop. You asked him about Denzel Duvant. You got a neighbor that's a cop. You asked him about Denzel Duvant. Just like you know the name George Floyd, and you know the name of Dante Wright, and you know the name of Trayvon Martin, you know the name of Michael Brown and Freddie Gray. Let me introduce you to the people that's happening to 10 miles away from you. This Denzel Duvant. This happened 2021, Rockford, Illinois. Beat him half to death. You can't even, it's people who see this picture and ask us if he alive still. Ask us if he is even alive still. That's how bad they beat this man while he was handcuffed, unarmed. Well, I guess he was armed with being black. That's a weapon. In America, that's a weapon. That's a loaded weapon in America. Anybody that's watching this, make sure you share this post. Make sure you share the video. I think it might. Nah, it's just the wind. Make sure you share this video again. We out here. Trying to get the mic right. If the audio messing up too, just say something in the comments. Again, it's the first Food Truck Tuesday of the season. We're going to be out here for all the Food Truck Tuesdays of the season. May 21st, the first city market of the season. We're going to be out at all the city markets for the season. 4th of July, we're going to be at the 4th of July parade. Memorial Day, they have Memorial Day parade. We're going to be at the Memorial Day parade. Any events that take place within this city where people are either celebrating these racist institutions or this racist history, or where racist institutions are benefiting and garnering wages off of the event, we gonna be there. We gonna be there. And we gonna remind people again. We gonna remind people. This is why. You don't gotta ask why. Don't ask why. You don't gotta ask why. Don't. You ain't gotta wonder. You don't gotta do none of those. This is why. Denzel Duvant, 2021. This is why. Jose Gonzalez, 2021. This is why. Faustin Guaitigo, 2021. This is why. Tyrus Jones, shot in the back while running away, unarmed. That is why. City Market, 2020. 33 people arrested. Some people arrested multiple times while trying to bring awareness to police terrorism. The same police terrorism that would strike a week later when Tyrus Jones was shot running away in the back. And the people who tried to bring awareness to that, the people who tried to say that the people who tried to let people know that these police officers were engaging in these activities while the consciousness was awoke to what happened in Minneapolis, they were rewarded with illegal arrest. They were awarded with being beat, with being brutalized. They were awarded, some people now with convictions on their record. They were awarded with losing their jobs because police department officers were calling people's jobs, attempting to get them fired. And then a week later, all the things these people were trying to say was going on, all the things these people were trying to warn this city about, manifested in the shooting of Tyrus Jones, and then manifested again in the attempted murder. That's what this is. This is an attempted murder of Denzel Duvant, and then manifested again in the attempted murder of Jose Gonzalez Jr. Because that's what it is. When you shooting at somebody, you trying to kill them. These police officers is trained to kill, so that's what that is. And it manifested in the murder of Faustin Guaitigo. Manifested. And all the departments that took place in terrorizing protesters last spring and summer got some type of blood on their hands since those protests. Outside of what they did on the protests, they got blood on their hands from work they done did in the streets to unarmed civilians. To unarmed civilians. And so, again, we just want people to know we down here at the Nicholas Conservatory. It's the first Food Truck Tuesday of 2021. It's a nice day out. It's a little breezy, but it's still real nice. A lot of people got on shorts and shirts. It's couples out here, some families out here. Everybody walking around. The breeze is blowing good. The sun coming up a little bit. Come on down here. Get you a pamphlet. It's 23 pages here. Get you some good reading. Again, I want to just go through the dates so that way people know that we not just up here because one isolated incident happened or two isolated incidents happened. Let me go through these dates for you. Mark Barmore, killed August 24th 2009 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Michael Sago Jr. killed October 1st, 2011 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Winnebago County Sheriff Deputies. Philip Johnson killed January 28th, 2012 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Logan Bell killed October 11th, 2012 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Demetrius Bennett killed November 1st, 2012 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Eddie Patterson killed November 5th, 2017 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Kerry Blake killed December 30th, 2018 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Eugene Washington killed October 28th, 2019 in the Winnebago County Winnebago County Jail where the Ku Klux correctional officers work. That one worked too. Joseph McCormick killed inside of the jail December 1st, 2019 by the Ku Klux correctional officers. Mikey Guzman killed August 23rd, 2020 by the Ku Klux Cops of South Beloit. And then Tyrus Jones attempted to be murdered October 2nd, 2020 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Jose Gonzalez Jr. shot while running away by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Faustin Guaitigo murdered inside of his home by the Ku Klux Cops of the Winnebago County Sheriff Deputies. And then Denzel Duvant attempted to be beat to death by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department. Those your heroes. And those your tax dollars. It should be noted that even though all these shootings have been justified, there have been multiple cases of lawsuits in which the city has paid out money to the families of these victims. So it is not in all areas it's not in all areas of the system in which these officers have been found to done everything right and everything correctly, or else they wouldn't pay no money out. The reason that certain people's families have been paid money out is because maybe specific opportunities that one set of family may have had in contrast to another one. But the constant remains is that the people's families who get paid out money, it is proof positive that something in that situation that led to the death of their loved one was preventable. It is proof positive that something in those events that took place could have been altered for their loved one to continue living, and the community and the society would have been okay. There is not one name in this pamphlet of someone who was murdered, who their murder made Rockford safer. There's not one name in this pamphlet of somebody who was killed, who their slaying made Winnebago County safer. There's not one name inside of this pamphlet of person that whose life has been lost, who the loss of their life has made it so that America is a safer country, or that you sleep safer at night, or that your kids are safer when they go to a bus stop. No. That is not what's happened. There is not a bunch of people in here who have done kidnappings, or a bunch of people in here who were serial killers, or people who were terrorists, or any of these other things that may be attributed. None of those things. These are people who unarmed, not threats, running away, shot, killed, beat, killed, allowed to die. It's people who've been eyewitnesses to some of these things, saying that the police officers who were there allowed these people to die, stopped ambulances from coming and trying to help them, stopped them from getting other first responders coming to render some type of aid. What would you think of a civilian who was stopping an ambulance from coming down to stop somebody who's being shot? Regardless of what the person was accused of, regardless of who shot him. What would you think if somebody got shot, and then as the ambulance was coming to try to save this person's life, as they was trying to come to do their job, the police was preventing them from coming through, or the police was allowing this person to bleed out and to die? But again, because these situations, there's in this pamphlet, there's one white person in this pamphlet, in all of these years that we go through, and all of these names, there's one white person. One white person. And so again, part of the issue and part of the problem is that because certain segments of the society, certain segments of the community cannot see themselves in these victims. They cannot see their loved ones in these victims because the person being killed does not look like their son, or the person being killed does not look like their nephew, or because the neighborhood in which the killing happened is not close to where they live at, they try to remove themselves from it. They have no empathy for it. And so since it affects a minority of the community, the majority of the community allows the oppression to take place. The majority of the community says, well, at least it's happening to them and not to me. The majority of the community says, well, at least they're on the bottom rung and it's not something I have to experience firsthand. Appreciate you, brother. So again, anywhere that any events take place, we will be at the events. Anywhere that people are trying to enjoy the weather, anywhere that people are trying to get away from reality. It's a thing now. People don't want to watch sports channels because they're too political or because people speaking up too much. And the Olympics taking place, I just seen them put out a post saying they don't want no Black Lives Matter being mentioned at the Olympics. They don't want nobody making political statements at the Olympics. Because what people are trying to do, what these institutions are trying to do, they are trying to systematically and systemically remove the issues. They are trying to say this is dealt with. The person who killed George Floyd is in jail, so don't worry about it no more. Donald Trump is out of office and Joe Biden in office, don't worry about it no more. Meanwhile, Faustin Guaitigo was murdered after Joe Biden got elected, after Donald Trump was kicked out of office. After Donald Trump was elected out of office. Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot after Donald Trump was elected out of office. In Joe Biden's America, Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot. Just like in this pamphlet, it's multiple people who were killed in Obama's America. And so it is not as simple as Democrat and Republican. It is not as simple as blue and red. It is not drawn down the political lines in that manner. Black people have died under Democratic presidents. Black people have been oppressed under Democratic presidents. Black people have been exploited and murdered and lynched and enslaved in one way or another, whether it be 19th, 20th, or 21st century slavery under Democratic presidents as well as Republican presidents. Bill Clinton's hands are dirty just like Ronald Reagan's hands are dirty. Barack Obama's hands are dirty, just like George Bush's hands are dirty. And again, I'm not here to say what you want to hear. I'm not here to say what you like. We can back up the things that we saying. We get the movement, the moment that we in right now, it began under a black president. Again, these systems are set up and rooted in bigotry, rooted in racism. Right now, if every white politician and white police officer dropped dead and they was replaced with black police officers and black politicians, the same problems would still be happening. It's not as simple as removing the skin or changing the skin color of the person at the top of the pyramid. The whole pyramid must be destroyed and a new one must be created. Because it can be, right now, if all the police officers that work in Police District 1 in front of Fairgrounds was black, they still gonna be over police at Fairgrounds. They still gonna be incentivized to pull over black people in Fairgrounds. They still gonna be incentivized to do illegal searches in the cars and in the homes of people in Fairgrounds, because that's how the system is built, because that's how their policies are built. That's how they are built. And so it is not as simple as saying we need more black police officers, we need more black politicians. No, we have to start realizing that has happened for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. We have people and generations of black folks who have died for those things to take place. They've taken place and it ain't fixed the problem. It ain't been a solution. So what we have to do is we have to go back to things that we have seen work in the past. And the thing we have seen worked in the past is not letting business as usual go on in these cities that perpetrate racism and bigotry. And it don't start with 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 20,000 people. It starts with one person. It starts with 5 people. It starts with 10 people, 50 people, 100 people. Them things you see in Selma and in the 60s, they ain't just pop up in the 60s. Those things was rooted in the 40s and in the 50s. Before you see Selma, before Selma take place in 64, it was Selma in 63 and 62 and 61. Before Birmingham in 63, it was Birmingham in 62 and 61 and 60. And so we are at a place now, trust me, this is not me speaking for myself. This is not me speaking for just what I think. It's multiple, it's families of these victims. families of these victims that we've spoken to, multiple people inside these communities that deal with these things that we've spoken to, and everybody's tired. Everybody's sick and tired. Everybody. That's why last year happened like that. Allow yourself to think that what happened in 2020 cannot be repeated. Allow yourself to continue to be willfully ignorant to the racism and police terrorism and mass incarceration that is continuing to go on in these cities and in this state and in this nation. And I promise you, you're going to look up in 2022 or 2023 or 2025, and it's going to look like 2020 all over again. And somebody different going to be George Floyd, and a different person going to be Derek Chauvin, and it's going to be your city next time. It's gonna be your city next time, your county next time, your car store next time, your mall next time, your police department next time. And again, don't accuse us of being the ones that's starting the fire. We just letting you know that it's gasoline on the ground and everybody got matches. Denzel Duvant, beat by the Rockford Police Department. You make sure you get a good look at this. Denzel Duvant, beat by the Rockford Police Department, 2021. Before a week was even in the new year, this is what the police department was doing. This is how they was ringing the new year in. This was their New Year's resolution. Lynch a nigga in the streets. And again, I understand that for some people, language is an inhibitor. For some people, they hear certain words and then they just shut the whole message out. But I want you to ask yourself this. If your son came home looking like this, what kind of language you using? If your brother came home looking like this, what kind of language you using? If your father came home looking like this, what kind of language you using? Huh? Your grandfather, you hear about your grandfather looking like this. When you younger, you hear about a story or see a picture like this. What type of language you using? And then I want you to ask yourself this too. Imagine you using that language and somebody approach you and say, well, I care about what happened to your brother, to your father, but just don't cuss while you talk about it. Now you think about that. You think about in the midst of your grief, in the midst of your traumatization and your victimization, your dehumanization, somebody telling you to don't use no cuss words or don't use no words that offend them. When it's state-sanctioned violence coming down on you and your brothers and your sisters and in your community. And you got people like Mayor Tom McNamara who are sitting quiet when these things happen. You have people like the aldermen that sit in these seats, like Bill Rose, who are quiet when these things happen. But Bill Rose can put a Black Lives Matter on his profile picture, make sure he get a few more votes from the people on the west side. But when Denzel Duvant is being beat half to death in the streets of Rockford in 2021, he ain't even got the decency to bring it up and say the man's name or speak to his family. Same thing for your mayor. Moral cowards. This is Faustin Guaitigo. 24 hours before Dante Wright was murdered in Brooklyn Center, Faustin Guaitigo was murdered in Winnebago County. I'm sure you heard the name Dante Wright. I'm sure you heard. 24 hours earlier in Winnebago County, about 5 or 10 or 20, depending where you live at, miles away from you, this is what took place. Shot inside his home, murdered inside his home. The same day that Dante Wright was murdered in Brooklyn Center, Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot by the Rockford Police Department while running away. Shot while running away. So you tell me, what has this city done? What part of the institutions of this city have been changed or altered since May 30th, 2020? Since this mayor had listening sessions, since this mayor called up all the black people he could get a hold of and held a press conference, since this mayor went all over the town pretending to have these listening sessions, since these things took place, what genuine changes happened? Ain't no body cameras. That was their whole stick. Last year, the whole stick of this city was body cameras. We gonna get body cameras. That's what we gonna do. Here we stand a year later, coming up on May 30th, 2020, a year later, it ain't even no body cameras. So then when Jose Gonzalez Jr. is shot by the Rockford Police Department, how people said would happen, it ain't even body cameras there for us to see the footage. Because the mayor has willfully allowed to not invest in those things. And again, Tyrus Jones shot by the Rockford Police Department. If it was body cameras and video footage of that, we could see those things firsthand instead of having to hear it second and third hand. But because there was no body cameras, we have to wait for dash camera footage, which they have prolonged putting out. And again, this is not to die on the hill of body cameras. We've seen all over the nation, as more departments get body cameras, it does not prevent murders from happening. It does not prevent shootings from happening. It does not prevent these 21st century lynchings from happening. It captures them on camera, but now we have to do things to go the extra step. And the extra step is when these things are caught on camera, when these things are done in communities, everything stops. Everybody stops. You heard the story of the Good Samaritan. When the Good Samaritan, he stopped all his business to help the man on the side of the road, because he asked not what would happen if he stopped to help the man on the side of the, what would happen to him if he stopped to help the man on the side of the road. He asked what would happen to the man on the side of the road if he didn't stop. So the question for you right now is not what will happen if I stop my business as usual to help Jose Gonzalez Jr. The question is, what will happen to Jose Gonzalez Jr. if I don't stop my business as usual to help him? The question is not, what will happen to me if I stop my business as usual to try to get justice for Faustin Guaitigo? The question is, what will happen to Faustin Guaitigo's family if you do not stop your business as usual to try to get that man justice, to try to get us closer to justice? And again, each person, each one of these cases that get closer to justice, it gets us closer to preventing the next one. But we will never prevent the next one if we don't alter business as usual when they happen. We will never prevent the next one if we allow ourselves to go through this same process over and over again. If we allow ourselves to believe that police officers will find other police officers wrongful in their actions. Kids can't raise the kids. The parents raise the kids. The students don't teach the students. The teachers teach the students. And so police cannot police police. They do. You're right. You're right. You're going to see these. Jose Gonzalez Jr. You're going to see these. Faustin Guaitigo. You're going to see these. Denzel Duvant. And so again, for anybody who watching this, share the video. Anybody who watching this, share the video. Go to the May 30th. You can go down through the May 30th Alliance page, and we have all of these things documented. We have the names of the people who have been murdered by these Ku Klux cops in Rockford. We have video of the most recent murder which took place, pinned to the top of the page. And again, it's not out of no trauma peddling. It's not to try to profit off of black pain. It's to let people know what's happening in this city, because far too many times when we interact with people and encounter people, they don't know. People don't know Denzel Duvant was beat half to death by the Rockford Police Department. People don't know that Tyrus Jones was shot down in the streets like a dog by the Rockford Police Department. People don't know that Mikey Guzman was ran down in the streets by a police officer. People don't know these things happen, and then people don't know that these officers have been cleared of any wrongdoing. These officers haven't even been reprimanded or docked pay or even just been fired. Think about all the things you ever done did to get fired at a job. And then you think about the fact that these officers out here murdering unarmed people in the streets, and they ain't even getting as much as suspended. As bad as people, you will hear people talk about Chicago or hear people talk about some of these bigger cities. Those cities at least have attempted to reckon with their police force in minuscule tokenist ways. Again, I'm not going by any means saying that Chicago is actually trying to deal with its police force, but there have been officers who have been held up on charges. in South Carolina and in Brooklyn Center and some of these other places, there are officers being held up on charges. No officers in Rockford are being held up on charges. They're not even allowing a jury of their peers to decide whether they was right or wrong or not. They just letting their co-workers say that if they was right or wrong. If the people who work at McDonald's is gonna be the health inspectors, they ain't gonna never say that McDonald's failed the health inspection. If the general manager for the McDonald's on Charles Street is doing the food inspection for the one on 11th Street, and the one on 11th Street is doing the inspection for the one on Charles Street, they just gonna be in cahoots and say that both of them is good. Neither one of them gonna fail the health inspection. And so that's what's happening. You got Rockford police officers being investigated by Loves Park police officers, or being investigated by Illinois state police officers, who did, again, circling and investigating each other again. It's just a circle. It's a circle jerk. Excuse my language. Hey, what up, what up, what up? You already know. You already know. Love you, bro. So again, when people ask, I don't want nobody thinking that this is something that's being done and it's being done for no reason. This is something that's being done and it ain't no real issues. It's a lot of other things I like to do with this day. This is a beautiful day. This is not what I would like to do with my day. This is not what I would want to do with my day. I like to go play basketball. I like to put up a couple of shots, play 21. However, I cannot go out and play basketball with a clear conscience, try to get my jump shot right, when I know that on April 11th, Jose Gonzalez Jr. was shot while running away by the Rockford Police Department. That's the shooting I'm worried about. I can't worry about shooting in the gym when they out here shooting folks in the streets. I can't worry about shooting at the park when they out here shooting folks in their home. You understand where I'm coming from? And so we need more people to have that same mindset. You got to stop shooting in the gym when they shooting folks in their homes. It's time to stop shooting in the parks when they shooting folks down in the streets that's running away. Shooting down teenagers. Shooting down unarmed people. Beating unarmed people halfway to death. And it being justified. Because it's only so long until it touch you. I know you heard of 6 degrees of separation. It's only so long till it touch you. Because the same officer that get justified in shooting somebody in the streets, the same officer that's going to plant something on you when they pull you over, or the same officer that's going to pull you over because you driving while you black, or the same officer that's going to pull you over because of the occupants that's in your car, or the area that your car in, and search your car and violate all your rights, your constitutional and human rights. The same officers. These is just the manifestation of a macro aggression, but the microaggressions happen every day beneath the surface. And so it is now incumbent upon us to take actions around those macroaggressions so we can inform people about the microaggressions. It is incumbent upon us to do that. And this is the beginning of doing that. It is incumbent upon us to start a new routine. It is incumbent upon us to begin a new process. And that's what this is. It is incumbent upon us to begin new traditions. And so in Rockford, Illinois, and Winnebago County, the tradition has begun where every spring and summer, until they stop shooting folks in the streets, till they stop beating folks in the streets, till they stop unlawfully arresting people, until they stop their inhumane treatment that goes on in the jail. This is what happens in the spring and the summer. This is what happens. So again, we down here at Food Truck Tuesdays, Nicholas Conservatory. Oh, damn.
23 wants to do an interview.
It's gotta be one of y'all. I don't mean to say it like that. I mean like, get the fuck out of here. Tell him it can't be only me. Gotta be one of y'all, or no interview. Okay. Again, this is what we will be out here every week. We're going to be out here every week. We're going to be bringing this to people every week. It is no getting away from this. We're going to have an open conversation. So this is what we're going to do too. This is last year There was multiple times. I'm sure that multiple people who watch this video will know my face. Multiple people who watch this video will know my name. Multiple people who watch this video may know my experiences and know the things that I have went through. But this is not something that is personalized. I do not want people, we do not want people to be following individuals. We do not want people to be following personalities. I hope that I have a charismatic personality. I hope that I'm a charismatic individual. But the issues at hand are removed from me as an individual. The issues at hand directly affect us collectively. Even the people who may not understand that they are affected by this state-sanctioned violence on Tuesday in 2021, let them go through 12 more months. Let them meet more people, have more dialogues, interact with more people in different communities, get more information, allow themselves to stop being miseducated and understand how these issues affect each one of us. And so each one of our voices must be put onto this platform. Each one of our experiences, each one of the things that we have been through, each one of our ideologies must be put onto this platform, so that way this issue cannot be isolated to an individual. What do you say? That's cool. We're trying to do as many numbers as 23 anyways. All right. So again, we want people to get involved. People want to know how to be involved or what they can do to be involved. We are down here. We're going to be down here every Tuesday. There's multiple people in the organization down here. Come in and engage in dialogue and engage in conversations and find out ways that you can be, which ways you can contribute. Find out which levels that you can exist on. And so we are here. We are, this is not a combative. That is not our intentions. Our intentions are for people to come and engage, for people to come and be informed. Now, if in the midst of us trying to engage and inform people, we are met with combativeness, then that will change the tenor of the interaction, as has happened at City Market, as has happened at other protests that have taken place. But it should be known, and it should be something that is transparent. That is not the purpose that we are engaging here. So we want people. We got people walking around, people moving around. We want people to get these pamphlets. We got people out here with business cards. You watching this via social media. Follow the Facebook page, follow the Twitter page, the Instagram page. We want people to be informed. We want people to be educated. Part of education also is one of the definitions of education is an enlightening experience. So we want people to come down here. We want people to come to City Market. We want people to bear witness to these demonstrations. We want people to come to City Hall and bear witness to the things that are going on so they can see it firsthand. I had to myself on May 30th of last year see some of these things firsthand. I've talked to the families of these victims. I've talked to the loved ones of the people who are mentioned in this pamphlet, the loved ones of the people who we have posters and pictures of, and I have firsthand been educated about the gravity of these issues. I have firsthand been educated about the destructive nature of these issues, and I firsthand know that it is not as simple as getting more black politicians. It is not as simple as getting more brown politicians. It is not as simple as getting more black police officers or more brown police officers. It's not that simple, because that has happened. Integration has taken place in police departments all across this nation, and it has not prevented the 21st century lynchings that show up on your TVs and on your cell phones on a day-to-day basis. It has not prevented it. It's black police chiefs who have young black and brown boys being murdered on their watch. There's black mayors who have young black and brown boys being murdered and falsely arrested and traumatized and victimized on their watch. You got a water bottle? Any water? Yeah, I ain't think about that. All right. So again, let me just remind you what we here for. This is Faustin Guaitigo. This man was murdered inside of his home by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies April 11th. April 11th, murdered inside his home. And so again, this did not take place 5 years ago or 10 years ago. This didn't take place 5 states over or 10 states over. This took place right here in Rockford, in Winnebago County, in Illinois in 2021. There's not a year, there's not a full calendar year that passes where these officers do not victimize somebody, do not traumatize somebody, dehumanize somebody. And then what happens is, as a society, we allow those people to be criminalized because of decisions that they may have made in their past, or decisions that they may have made in those moments, decisions which don't warrant murder, decisions which don't warrant execution, decisions which don't warrant being lynched. Faustin Guaitigo did nothing that warranted his execution in his home. Jose Gonzalez Jr. did nothing that warranted him being shot down while he was running away. Denzel Duvant did nothing that warranted him being beat half to death while he was handcuffed, while he was restrained in the streets by these bloodthirsty Ku Klux cops wearing these blue uniforms. And so, the same way that there's a process for the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force, the same way that there's a process for the Rockford Police, an internal Rockford Police Department investigation, the same way that it is processes, the same way that it is processes for these other institutions, it's also, we need to create a process. We have to create a process. It becomes incumbent upon us as community members to understand that the process that has been in place by these institutions are not preventing state-sanctioned violence from coming down on individuals in the community. The process that has been put in place by these institutions are not preventative of illegal arrests taking place in the communities. The processes which have been put in place by these institutions are not equitable. They are not equal. They are not enforced in every community in the same fashion, in the same sense. The west side of Rockford is not policed at the same extent that the east side of Rockford is. The area near Guilford is not policed in the same extent that the area near Auburn is. And so, of course, there's more people pulled over in the area near Auburn. Not because there are more people committing crimes in that area, not because more people do drugs in that area or sell drugs in that area, simply because there are more police to stop people in that area, simply because the people within that area have been left voiceless, have had multiple politicians who have been put in place that's supposed to speak for them have remained mute and instead have chosen to be in cahoots with the people committing this state-sanctioned violence, with the institutions allowing these things to take place. And so we get to a place in 2021 where where the majority of the crime take place in one area and the majority of the police is in that same area. How the hell are the police in the same area with all the crime, and all the crime keep happening and going up? The police must be in cahoots with the criminals doing the crime. Nothing else makes sense. If you get more police and then it's still more crime, that lets you know that the police you got is criminals. That lets you know that the system you got is corrupt. This is a victim of that corrupt system. Faustin Guaitigo, a victim of that corrupt system. He had children that will now be forever traumatized by that corrupt system. And that is how these things perpetuate. People wonder why people run away from police officers, why people resist arrest, or why people don't just comply. Imagine growing up knowing that your father was murdered by police. Imagine growing up knowing your older cousin or your brother was shot down in the streets by police. Of course you running. Of course you not complying. Of course you resisting. You got fear. Somebody put you in a room with a rattlesnake and you in fear. You ain't gonna just stand there and let it bite you and kill you. You gonna run. You gonna struggle. And these people and these police officers ain't nothing but rattlesnakes with badges and guns. Now let me tell you the name of some of the people who done been bit by those rattlesnakes and succumbed to their wounds. Mark Barmore, murdered August 24th, 2009 by the Rockford Police Department. Michael Sago Jr., murdered October 1st, 2011 by the Winnebago County Sheriff Deputy. Philip Johnson, murdered January 28th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Logan Bell, murdered October 11th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Demetrius Bennett, murdered November 1st, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Eddie Patterson, murdered November 5th, 2017 by the Rockford Police Department. Kerry Blake, murdered December 30th, 2018 by the Rockford Police Department. Eugene Washington, killed October 28th, 2019 inside the Winnebago County Jail. Joseph McCormick, killed December 1st, 2019 inside the Winnebago County Jail. Mikey Guzman, killed August 23rd, 2020 by the South Beloit Police Department. Tyrus Jones, attempted to be murdered October 2nd, 2020 by the Ku Klux Cops of the Rockford Police Department, by the racist, bloodthirsty, white supremacist police officers of the Rockford Police Department. Same department shot this young man April 11th. Same department partook in beating that young man back there on January 5th. Under a Democratic mayor. So don't do all this crying about the Republicans. Don't do all that crying about, oh, this happening because of the mayor of this city where black folks is being lynched, brown folks being lynched, is a Democrat. The majority of the people taking up them city council seats is Democrats, and these things still happening. This city done had a black mayor. Black folks got lynched under that black mayor. It is the system. It is these institutions. And it don't matter how many black faces you put at the head of a white power structure, it will continue to be a white power structure. It don't matter how many faces of people who come from an oppressed nation you put at the top of the oppression pyramid. The oppression will continue to come down. The pyramid will not stop being oppressive because you put somebody who was once oppressed at the top. It'll just change the way that the oppression come down. So, when the Food Truck Tuesdays go on, we gonna be down here. City Market go on, we gonna be down here. You gotta pay your water bill at City Hall, we gonna be down there. You should see that. You gonna see that sign right down there at City Hall when you go to pay your water bill. You want more information for maybe you watching this and my tone of voice or the language I'm using, maybe that just don't do it for you, you know. But maybe you believe in the ends, you just don't like the means. This is what you do. You come get one of these. You come get informed. You read this. You see the names that's in here. You start looking up more of the names that's in here, the names of the victims and the names of the officers, and you see where those things lead you. And then you find how you want to do. You take your own means. Take means into your own hands to get to the ends that we agree upon. You find your own methods to get to the objectives that we agree upon or to the goals that we agree upon. If you want to, you for the liberation of black people, the liberation of oppressed people, the liberation of poor people, liberation of the working class people, and you feel like the methods that we going about it are not the proper ones, you come down here, you get informed and get educated, and you find and you lay out your own tactics. And we are join with you. We wanna work with anybody who is truly about liberating the citizens in this community. People who truly care about these issues no longer taking place at this same extent. People who truly care about not having to continue to add pages to this pamphlet. Again, I want people, come down here, you get one of these pamphlets, and if you don't want no more pages to be added to it, you find a way in which you can employ your ideological beliefs. But we got to do something, or we gonna have something as thick as the Bible up here with all these actions of the police. Because with this, again, this only 10 years, and this only a specific type of events. Only events that was investigated by this task force. This does not contain all the victimizations, traumatizations, all the illegal acts that these police departments have partaken in or that these institutions have partaken in. This is a small section of the things that they've done, and it's a small time frame of that small section. All right, we gonna go out into the battery. This battery gonna die on this phone. We gonna switch to the phone when the battery die. It's on. We got like 10%, but we gonna let it go for the full thing. So again, we want people to understand that we are not out here for no reason. We are not out here just to be hooting and hollering. This is Denzel Duvant. This is January 5th, 2021. I want you to look at this picture and I want you to ask yourself, what extents would you go to if this was your son? What extents would you like other people to go to if this was your son? What extents would you go to if this was your brother? What extents would you like other people to go to if this was your brother? What extents would you go through if your son came home looking like this and said it happened to him while he was handcuffed and your son was unarmed? I want you to get a good look at that. I'm going to put it up here, so make sure anybody walking around, again, we got the sign. We want to make sure that people understand they're going to see these signs all spring, all summer, wherever they go at. 4th of July parade, we're going to be there with the signs. We're going to be there with the pictures. You got to pay your water bill at City Hall, we're going to be there with the pictures. Beat to death. Beat halfway to death. Again, multiple people see this picture and ask us if this man is still alive. Multiple people see this picture and think this man has been killed because of the way that this man was beat. Because of the way, for no other reason than the color of his skin. That was the weapon he had. He had long hair and dark skin, and he was on the west side of Rockford. Those was his weapons, and that was his crime. And this is his punishment. You ain't gotta wait for a jury of his peers to decide. They ain't wait for a judge to decide the sentence. They decided it right there in the streets in the middle of the night. They played judge, jury, and executioner. Attempted executioner. And again, it is people who have been beat this way and not survived. It's people who've been beat and it's been less than this and not survived. You get hit the wrong way in the head and you can die. You can see this ain't no from this man resisting arrest or from this man struggling. This is a man being beat, being kicked, being stumped. So again, it's the first Food Truck Tuesday. This the first Food Truck Tuesday. We getting back in the groove. We want to get everybody back acclimated. It's the spring and it's the summer. So just like last spring and summer, it was protests taking place. Just like last spring and summer, when the weather permitted, we was down here at Nicholas Conservatory for Food Truck Tuesday. This spring and summer, when the weather permit, even if the weather don't permit, we gonna be down here bringing awareness to police terrorism that continues to be pervasive and leave people looking like this. To bring awareness to mass incarceration, which continues to be pervasive and leaving people looking like this, and bring awareness to racial injustice, which continues to be pervasive and leaving people looking like this. And all too often, the people left looking like this are the same skin color as this man. All too often, the communities in which these things happen are in the same communities that this happened to this young man at. And not for 5 years or 10 years or 20 or 30 or since the inception of this city, this type of state sanctioned violence has come down on specific individuals in the community, in specific sections of the community. And again, these ain't things that we making up. These things are documented. If me talking out enough for you, we got the pamphlets maybe one of these Tuesdays. We get into reading some of the reading the pamphlet, but but we want people to come out, come look at this picture up close. You made your profile picture. You put the black picture up on Instagram last year. You did the Black Lives Matter hashtag. You got the Black Lives Matter sign in your yard. Come take a look at this picture of this young man. Come ask about what happened to this young man. Come hear about what happened to this young man. Huh? You come get you one of these pamphlets. It's free. This is a free pamphlet. You come get this pamphlet and you come and you read about the actions that this police department that engaged in. You come and hear about the actions of your first responders. For too long, these issues have continued to happen. For too long, these issues have not been addressed. People address affirmative action. People address lack of education, lack of equitable education, lack of equitable housing. And even though when they address those things, they do not address them genuinely and with the hopes to uproot all the problems and to truly fix the problems, because that would contribute to fixing some of these problems. They do it haphazardly. They do it in a sense of tokenism. They do it to put on a show. And so since they do those things half-assed, and then they don't even try to deal with the police terrorism that we deal with, they don't even try to deal with the racial injustice truthfully that we deal with, the over-mass incarceration, over-policing truthfully that we deal with, these things continue to happen. And it continues to be a reminder to your child that their life is not worth anything in this nation, or so that's what is deemed by certain institutions. That is what this is a reminder of. Do you think they asked this man what his IQ was before they beat him this way? Do you think they asked this man how many books he read before they beat him this way? Do you think they asked this man what school he went to before they beat him this way? What religion he was before they beat him this way? No, they beat him like this because he was black in America, and that was enough of a reason for him to do it. So simply sending your kids to a nice high school will not let them escape the realities that being black in America represent. Simply sending your kid going to a historically black college will not pull them away from the realities that America still represents. You think they care whether he went to Howard or Spelman before they beat this man handcuffed like this? And again, this idea that people have that you can make enough money and not deal with these issues is ludicrous. Black capitalism, the myth that it is, will not remove you from police terrorism, will not remove you from racial injustice, will not remove you from the issues and the problems of mass incarceration. Because you still gonna have black brothers and sisters, you still gonna have black cousins, you still gonna produce black children, you still gonna have other black family members. Or maybe you in a place where you can completely remove yourself from anybody that's black. You don't care about the oppression, exploitation, degradation that they deal with on a regular basis. You don't care that you get enough money. You don't care that your cousin getting shot in the streets. You don't care that your uncle getting beat in the streets. You let me know how much money it is that you need for that. 20 million? You get $20 million, you stop caring that you can beat Denzel Duvon anyway, any day. Just like that police sergeant that you seen that video of, that uniform ain't help him not be black. It don't matter what uniform you got on. If you black but underneath that uniform, you brown underneath that uniform, that's gonna usurp it. You think that is, you know how many rich black people can't get pulled over regularly because of the type of car that they got? It's black folks, and the black folks in the nice cars get pulled over more often than the black folks in the hoopties. The black folks that live in the nice neighborhoods, the ones that get the police called on them, more than the ones in the other neighborhoods, because the white folks don't think they're supposed to live there. But for some of y'all, that's been the solution. Remove yourself from people who look like you. Remove yourself from people who have dealt with the type of oppression or exploitation that your ancestors or that your peers deal with. All right, brother, I'm gonna holler at you. Love you, bro. So again, there will be no more business as usual. No more business as usual. It will begin as a spark. It'll begin as a spark. But I promise you, and this is not because we want it to happen. It's not because we are making it happen. We are reading the tea leaves. We are telling you what is to come. We are letting you know that it is that every day these corrupt police officers pour gasoline on these streets. Every day these crooked politicians pour gasoline on these streets, and everybody that's walking around being victimized and traumatized and dealing with oppression and exploitation from these institutions are walking around with matches. And at some point, just like the fire came to Minneapolis, at some point, just like the fire came to Louisville, came to Watts, came to LA, has came to Chicago, the fire will come to Rockford if the issues are not dealt with. These are the issues. This is the issue. You don't gotta Google it. You can Google it afterwards, but you ain't gotta be in curiosity. This is the reason. A picture is 1,000 words. This the reason. Beat, handcuffed, black, 2021. Ku Klux Cops. Rockford, Illinois. There will be no normalcy in any springs or summers anytime soon or anytime to come. There will be no normalcy until it's going to be a new normal until because this has been normalized. Murders of people in their home since this has been normalized. The shooting of people running away. It's time to create a new normal. A new normal where everywhere that you go, you got to get reminded about these issues. The same way these communities in certain pockets and neighborhoods of communities are over-policed, we gonna make sure that when these events take place, we gonna over-protest them. So the first week is 5-6 of us down here. Wait till week 5. Wait till week 8, week 10. This year 2, wait till year 3, year 4, if these issues aren't dealt with. Jose Gonzalez Jr. shot April 11th, 2021 in Rockford, Illinois while running away. 2 days before Derek Chauvin got found guilty, this young man was shot. So you tell me how Derek Chauvin being found guilty fixed the problem. You think it fixed the problem for him? What do Derek Chauvin being found guilty do for this family? What do it do for Faustin Guaitigo? What does it do for Rockford, Illinois? It's the United States of America are completely intertwined, completely connected. If these issues were truly being solved and truly being addressed in some cities and in some states, you would see a domino effect. The same way you see a domino effect with the legalization of marijuana. You can see the domino effect. So it's people who maybe have been fighting for the legalization of marijuana, who when these domino effects were taking place, they can say that step forwards were happening. But it ain't no step forwards taking place about these issues right now, when in Florida, they passing anti-protest laws, and that's what they are, anti-protest laws. When in multiple cities and states all over, they passing anti-protest ordinances and anti-protesting statutes. You can't say that. You can't say that when it is countless people sitting in prison or going to prison, sitting in jail right now for crimes they did not commit during protests last year in an effort to bring awareness to these situations. And it has been proven, it has been clearly proven, the only way there will be any shift in this society is through protesting, is through a movement, and through demonstrations. And you have watched at these crooked politicians, watched as these crooked businessmen and these crooked institutions have worked in cahoots to try to limit protests, to try to make it illegal to protest, to try to criminalize and stigmatize protesting. They gonna build all these streets in the name of Martin Luther King Jr., but then they gonna throw you in jail for trying to protest how Martin Luther King Jr. did. Then they gonna vilify you for trying to protest like Martin Luther King Jr. did. This crooked, corrupt city got a highway named after Martin Luther King Jr., and they got people facing criminal charges for protesting. Hypocrisy. It is no democracy, hypocrisy. This is a highlight of that hypocrisy. Faustin Guaitigo, in a country created by immigrants, he was killed for being an immigrant. This is a highlight of that hypocrisy. Jose Gonzalez Jr. being shot while running away, a highlight of that hypocrisy. This is a highlight of that hypocrisy. Denzel Duvant being beat while handcuffed. Beat while handcuffed. Hypocrisy. Let's go through these dates again. All right. Mark Barmore, murdered August 24th, 2009 by the Rockford Police Department. Rule justified. Michael Sago Jr., murdered October 1st, 2011 by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies. Rule justified. Philip Johnson, murdered January 28th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Rule justified. Logan Bell, murdered October 11th, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Rule justified. Demetrius Bennett, murdered November 1st, 2012 by the Rockford Police Department. Rule justified. Eddie Patterson, murdered November 5th, 2017 by the Rockford Police Department, ruled justified. Kerry Blake, murdered December 30th, 2018 by the Rockford Police Department, ruled justified. Eugene Washington, killed October 28, 2019 in the Winnebago County Jail, ruled justified. Joseph McCormick, killed December 1st, 2019 in the Winnebago County Jail, ruled justified. Mikey Guzman, ran down and murdered on August 23rd, 2020 by a South Beloit police officer, ruled justified. Tyrus Jones, shot and attempted to be murdered on October 2nd, 2020, ruled justified. Denzel Duvant, who was beat in assistance with one of the officers who shot Tyrus Jones. This right here, this took place. No, not even an investigation happened into the assault, into the beating of this young man. All of those officers was told their actions was justified and went back to work. And here we stand. Jose Gonzalez Jr., shot by the Rockford Police Department, under investigation by the Winnebago Boone Integrity Task Force. He was shot while he was running away, so we have to wait and see. But based on history, based on the statistics, this shooting will be ruled justified. Faustin Guaitigo, murdered by the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies, April 11th, 2021. This one is still under investigation, but based on history and based on the statistics, this one will be ruled justified. Welcome to Rockford. Welcome to Winnebago County. Welcome. Where they can shoot you down in the streets, whether you going towards them or you running away from them. Where they can shoot you down in the streets, whether you unarmed or got your hands up, or whether you have what they perceive to be a weapon in your hand. We have to start looking at the society. We have to start looking at the what type of society are we where these murders happen on the state level and nobody bats an eye. Where little Makia Bryant gets shot down by a police officer within seconds of him being there, and people don't even bat an eye. And people justify it because her life has been devalued. And when you devalue life on that type of a level, when black and brown folks see representations of themselves being murdered in the streets, being unlawfully arrested in the streets, being assaulted and battered in the streets, it is a subconscious reminder that their life is not worth anything in this nation. It is a subconscious reminder that when their ancestors were brought here, they were not even considered to be full human beings in this nation. It is a subconscious reminder that to this day, this nation has a set of laws for people that are white and a set of laws for people that are not. There's a society for people that are white and a society for people that are other. And where you fall in that spectrum depends on the gravity of the type of oppression you deal with. And again, people use the argument all the time. More white people numerically get killed by the police.